When the Lamb of God opens each seal from the book, a judgment is released, or an apocalyptic event occurs. The opening of the first four seals releases the famous four horsemen of the apocalypse. Though each horseman is released at the opening of a separate seal, each representing a 1,000-year period, we will treat the horsemen as a single symbolic entity, for the horsemen are unified by the mythic archetypes from which they are derived. As mentioned in a previous episode in this series, John used mythic archetypes within both Hebrew and Hellenic traditions. The archetypes of the four horsemen follow this pattern. To understand what they are and what they mean, we will have to trace back their symbolic origins to both Hebrew and Greek mythologies. We will start with the Semitic mythic archetypes. The prophet Zechariah saw sets of colored horses in two separate visions. The first vision, recorded in the first chapter of his book, records a vision where an angel standing in the myrtle trees shows Zechariah a rider upon a red horse, behind whom were other horses, red, speckled, and white. When Zechariah asked the angel what the horses represent, the angel responded by saying that the horses and their riders were sent to and fro throughout the earth because of the indignation of the Lord. After 70 years, the earth was given peace and rest. The angel represents the Lord, whom he specifically names the Lord of Hosts. This can only mean that there is a planetary context for the vision. The Lord's hosts are the planets. In this case, the horses and riders represent the agents of the Lord of Hosts' indignation, and their roaming the earth indicates their destruction of the earth at his behest. The horses as agents of the Lord of Hosts indicates that they represent the planet, or planets responsible for the destruction of the earth shown Zechariah in vision. Zechariah's second vision of colored horses, recorded in the 6th chapter of his book, is slightly different from the first, but follows the same pattern. An angel shows him a vision at the request of the Lord of Hosts. Again, this vision is set against a planetary backdrop. This time, there are 4 sets of horses pulling 4 chariots. The color of the horses are more familiar, being the same as those of John's Apocalypse, though in a different order: red, black, white, and grizzled and bay. The angel identifies them as the 4 spirits of heaven going forth from the Lord of all the earth, or the Lord of Hosts. This time, it is the 4th horse, the bay and grizzled one, which walks to and fro through the earth. The bay and grizzled horse provides the key to understanding the nature of Zechariah's colored horses. A series of linguistic equivalences will lead us to the exact identity of the 4th horse and Zechariah's horses as a group. First, the Hebrew word translated as bay in the King James Version of the Bible is amatz and means strong. Second, the King James Version grizzled is an archaic form and means spotted. The original Hebrew word is bered. Bered comes from the Hebrew root barad, meaning hail or hailstones. Barad should sound familiar from previous episodes in this series. It was the hail and debris that fell from heaven due to the catastrophic interaction between Mars and Earth in previous catastrophes, and will again fall in the future apocalypse. Linguistically speaking, the bay and grizzled horse can also be described in the following manner. In our episode entitled The Lord of Hosts, we identified the hosts of heaven, the planets, as the agents of destruction of the earth. They came from the end of heaven and were called the mighty ones, the strong ones, and the sanctified ones. One planet in particular played the primary destroyer for the Lord of Hosts, the planet Mars. The prophet Isaiah described the planet in the following manner. The important point here is that the description of Isaiah's mighty one is almost identical to Zechariah's spotted horse. The electrical interaction between Mars and Earth and the other planets is what causes the Barad to begin with. Much of the debris falls to the planets below as meteorites, the Barad. Some debris is suspended in space and, from the perspective of an earthbound observer, appears to give the planets above, particularly Mars, a speckled or spotted appearance. Mars, like the horse, is spotted as if by hail. All the imagery of Zechariah's colored horses and their association with Barad, hail, or more properly, meteorites, supports our earlier contention that the army of horsemen in John's vision, sent as a scourge against the earth immediately following the scorpions, were caused by planetary agents of the Lord of Hosts. In this case, the Barad itself was typified as horses, with fiery brimstone, literally burning stones, spewing from their mouths. It is not coincidental that these fiery meteorites were sent by 4 angels. When we move forward to our interpretation of the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, it will be important to remember that the horsemen can be used to signify not only the planets, but the catastrophic effects of the planets, such as the Barad, to name only one.